The Age of Reconstruction between 1865 and 1877 brought the right for African Americans to vote in North Carolina and through the southern states. This caused participation of Black office holders in the Republican southern state governments that dominated during this period. This angered Southern whites, who built what was called the Redeemer governments, that quickly decided to try to roll back the rights of African Americans. The Black Republican Party joined forces with the People's or Populist Party that represented area farmers. These two parties together formed the Fusion Party and quickly outnumbered the white Democratic Party at that time. Republicans and populists took control of the state legislature and elected a populist and a Republican to the U.S. Senate. Working together again in 1896 election, the Fusionists retained control of the legislature and elected a Republican governor. They enacted reforms that benefited Blacks and working class whites. Wilmington was a thriving city. It was a commercial port, had a thriving economy. Wilmington was also 56% Black. Wilmington had a thriving Black middle class, professionals and entrepreneurs. They served in local government and had 26 Black police officers on the police force. The city featured Black schools and even a Black newspaper. Wilmington had successfully created a cohesive social and cultural environment. This prominence humiliated and enraged many whites. So two men, Joseph S. Daniels, publisher of the Raleigh News and Observer, North Carolina's most influential paper, and Furnival Simmons, chairman of the state's Democratic Party, met and decided to do something about the political situation, namely to eliminate it forever by ballot or bullet. Labeling the project the White Supremacy Campaign, the plan called for stealing the upcoming 1898 federal and state election. This is when the campaign of dehumanization began. Using the newspaper as a weapon, they depicted Blacks as dumb politicians that were a threat to their white women because of their uncivilized and bestial nature. Alexander Manley, a Black man, struck back with an article about the documented and historical rape of Black women by white men. As the election approached, a white supremacist faction called the Red Shirts terrorized voters and broke into homes of Blacks and beat them as a warning not to cast a vote. When it came time for the November 1898 election, the Red Shirts were an ominous, armed, and intimidating presence at all polling places. Thousands of men gathered and attacked voters at the polls and stuffed the ballot boxes with phony ballots, in some cases producing Democratic margins of victory that exceeded the number of registered voters. Democrats retook the North Carolina legislature, recaptured county governments, and monopolized the state's congressional delegation. On November 9th, the day after the election, the Wilmington Messenger published the White Declaration of Independence, a list of resolutions promising that whites would never again be ruled by men of African origin. On the morning of November 10th, Waddell led 2,000 white men in attack on the office of the Daily Record, the Black-owned newspaper. By 11 a.m., violence had begun erupting across the city, with red shirts, militiamen, and white vigilantes turning their guns on Blacks, some of whom returned fire. As the deadly melee ensued, Waddell engineered the forced resignation of elected officials. In the coming weeks, about 2,100 Black Wilmingtonians abandoned the city. It is not known for certain how many Black people perished in the massacre, but it is generally believed that hundreds of Blacks were killed during the Wilmington Massacre of 1898. That is the history they want you to forget about.